Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. I hope you're ready, because today we are jumping into the software company that literally, and I mean literally, shapes the physical world around us.
We're cracking open Autodesk, ticker symbol ADSK.
On the surface, it's a company you might not interact with directly, but it's the hidden engine behind almost every building you enter, car you drive, or product you use. But the real question for us is this. Is this deeply entrenched company still a wonderful business to own for the next decade, especially while it's navigating a perfect storm of challenges?
That's a massive question. And before we really get into the details, just a quick note for everyone listening.
For those of you who want to act on these kinds of investing ideas, having a professional-grade platform is, well, it's key. We use Interactive Brokers, and we've partnered with them to get you a stock bonus when you sign up.
So you get a bonus and support the channel at the same time. That link is in the description, right?
That's right. And of course, if you find a value in this kind of in-depth discussion, the best way to let us know and to get the next one is to subscribe and hit that like button. It really does help. And if you have questions, manifest them in the comments.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now let's get into it. Autodesk. I think the best way to frame it is as a platform compounder.
The platform compounder.
Yeah, it's like the digital nervous system for architecture, engineering, and construction, the AEC industry.
And it's a financial machine. Let's just start there.
Oh, absolutely. They just generated, $1.57 billion in free cash flow last year.
Which was a 22% jump year over year.
Yeah.
So the money is there.
The money is definitely there.
Yeah.
But like you said, the question is durability. And to understand that, you have to understand their moat.
Right. And I think this is a perfect case study for Charlie Munger's Lollapalooza effect. It's not just one thing protecting them.
No, it's a convergence of forces. And what's so interesting is how much of it is, based on psychology and just sheer inertia.
Not necessarily just having the best tech.
Exactly. Take what we call social proof. It's this self-reinforcing loop that just locks out competitors.
So walk us through that. Where does that loop even begin?
It starts in college. Universities all over the world, they standardize their courses on AutoCAD and Revit.
Okay.
And they do it because that's what the industry uses. So every single architecture student graduate's already fluent in Autodesk.
So if you're a firm, you have to use Autodesk products to get access to the labor pool.
You have to. You can't afford to hire someone and then spend 6 months retraining them on some niche software. It's just not going to happen.
So it's a prerequisite for just getting a job. Students learn it, firms buy it. It's brilliant.
It's an almost impossible barrier to overcome. You'd have to convince hundreds of universities to change their entire curriculum.
And that's just the psychological side.
Yeah.
You mentioned there's a structural barrier, too.
Mm-hmm. And this is what we call architecture debt. It goes way beyond simple switching costs.
I like that term. What's the difference between that and, normal tech debt?
Tech debt is your own code being messy. Architecture debt is when your entire workflow, your entire company's history is tied to someone else's system.
And it's all trapped in their proprietary file format, right? The .rvt file.
Precisely. So imagine you're a big firm. You want to switch. You have to try and convert decades of those files to an open format like IFC.
And that doesn't go well.
It's a nightmare. People report broken geometry, just massive data loss. Think about it. You've got a multi-million-dollar building design.
Right.
You open it in the new software, and a structural beam is missing its cost data. Or maybe the whole floor plan is off by a few millimeters.
Wait, broken geometry. That's not just an IT headache. That's immediate financial liability. That's lawsuits.
It's existential risk. You can't take that chance. And on top of that, you spent years building custom digital libraries of doors, windows, HVAC units.
They call them families, right?
Yeah, families. And recreating all of that intellectual property is a massive non-billable project.
So that fear of losing what you have just kicks in, which explains why their net revenue retention is always between 100 and 110%.
Even when customers complain about price hikes.
The pain of paying more is still less than the pain of leaving.
That is pricing power, pure and simple.
Okay, so the fortress is strong.
Yeah.
But a business can't just sit on its legacy. They're making a huge pivot, right? From just design to make.
This is the growth story for the next decade. Their core design business, it's steady, growing around, say, 10%.
Which is solid.
But the make revenue, so that's construction and manufacturing, that's where the action is. It was up 25% last year, $654 million. The strategy is working.
Let's break that down. First battlefield, manufacturing. Their main tool there is Fusion.
Right, Fusion 360.
Mm-hmm.
And its big advantage is that it's cloud native. It combines the design, the manufacturing, and the engineering simulation CAD, CAM, and CAE all in one place.
So no more exporting files between 3 different programs.
None of that friction, it's all seamless. And they have this incredible funnel with millions of students and hobbyists using it for free.
Who then graduate and convince their new employers to buy the commercial subscription.
Exactly. But construction, that's a tougher fight. They're up against a really strong incumbent in Procore.
This feels like a classic tech battle.
Hmm?
Procore is seen as best of breed, especially for the guys on the construction site. It's easier to use for day-to-day tasks.
It is. Their G2 scores for ease of use are very high.
So how does Autodesk's Construction Cloud, ACC, possibly compete with that?
They don't compete on workflow, they compete on data. It's a clash of philosophies. Procore is workflow-centric. ACC is data-centric. Autodesk leverages its monopoly in the design phase with Revit. Since the architect is already using Revit, Autodesk makes the data flow from that Revit model into ACC completely seamless.
So they create that same switching cost pain for the general contractor who needs to work with the architect's model.
Bingo. They're essentially using their design monopoly as a Trojan horse. They might not have the prettiest interface for the field yet, but they own the master data file, and that forces adoption.
It's an incredibly aggressive strategy. Which brings us to the internal noise. The stock can be volatile, and there's a lot of financial complexity here.
The free cash flow confusion was a big one.
Yeah, in fiscal 24, their FCF dropped 37%. That must have spooked the market.
It did. It looked terrible. But that drop was, it was artificial. It was an accounting artifact.
How so?
They stopped doing multi-year upfront billing. In the past, they'd get, say, 3 years of cash all at once, which inflated the numbers. They moved to annual billing.
So they took a one-time hit.
A one-time hit that actually makes their cash flow much more predictable long-term. And you saw the rebound this year, up 22%. The normalization is happening.
But that chaos created an opening, didn't it, for an activist?
It's exactly why Starboard Value showed up. They bought a $500 million stake.
And their argument was, what, lack of discipline?
Pretty much. They looked at Autodesk's huge gross margins, like 92%, and then they saw the operating margin was only around 37%. They argued there was waste.
So Starboard is pushing them to get to a 45% operating margin.
By fiscal 28. And management basically agreed, which was a huge signal. The CEO admitted they'd been a bit loose with controls.
And there was that internal investigation into billing, too.
Right. It cleared them of fraud, but it did highlight, and I'm quoting here, a looseness in internal controls. It all just gave Starboard the ammunition they needed.
It sounds like forced discipline, which might actually be a good thing in the long run.
It could be, but now we have to talk about the biggest, most existential risk of all.
Generative AI.
Yep. If AI can design a building in minutes instead of months, why does a firm need to pay for 100 seats of Revit?
The entire per-seat subscription model is at risk. It's a deflationary threat.
It's a huge threat. But their defense mechanism is, I think, brilliant. They're pivoting hard to what they call outcome pricing.
And they do that with these Flex tokens. Explain how that works.
Okay, so with Flex, you're not paying for access to the software for a year. You're paying for the outcome of a specific task. You use tokens to pay for high-value computations.
So if I use their AI engine to generate, say, 3,000 different design options for a facade,
You'll pay tokens for that specific high-value computational job. It doesn't matter how many people are involved or how long it takes. You pay for the result.
it perfectly aligns their revenue with the value the AI is creating.
Exactly. And it's all powered by their cloud infrastructure, their platform services. So if AI reduces human design time, they still capture revenue from the machine's work.
And people are using this. The numbers show it's already 17% of revenue.
Which is up from just 3% a few years ago. So the adoption is definitely real. But it's not a perfect defense. There is a weak spot in the moat. Europe. Specifically, the Open BIM movement.
But this is the regulatory threat to their proprietary file format lock-in.
That's the one. In places like Germany, where a competitor like Nemetschek is strong, there's a huge regulatory push for open data standards.
So a mandate that would force Autodesk's proprietary files to convert perfectly to an open format.
And if that happens, if that becomes a global standard, a huge piece of that architecture debt moat, it just evaporates.
So let's bring this all together for someone trying to understand the investment case here.
Okay. You have an incredibly strong moat. You have a necessary pivot to make that's gaining traction. But it's all happening under this intense activist pressure to cut costs while also trying to navigate this existential AI threat.
And the valuation. Where does the stock price sit with all this going on?
Right now, it's priced like a mature compounder. The current price implies, maybe 11 or 12% annual free cash flow growth for the next decade.
Which is pretty moderate, so what's the takeaway?
The takeaway is, if management actually hits those aggressive 45% margin targets from Starboard and keeps the make growth engine running, the company is probably undervalued today.
Okay, so for you listening, what are the key things to watch? What are the signals of success or failure?
I'd track 4 things. First, that make revenue growth rate. It has to stay above 20%.
Okay, number 1, make revenue.
Second, operating margins. Are they actually moving towards that 40% plus target?
Margin progression, got it.
Third, the adoption of flex tokens. That's your AI hedge. Watch its share of total revenue. And fourth, any news about open BIM mandates spreading beyond Europe.
That's the moat shrinking risk.
That's the big one.
That's a super clear framework. So, final thought for us to consider.
I think the most profound risk here isn't a competitor writing better code. It's an internal one.
Okay.
It's whether the obsession with hitting short-term margin targets, to appease the activists, causes management to underinvest in the long-term platform services they need to win the AI war.
That raises a huge question. Can a company go through an intense, internally focused efficiency drive and, at the same time, successfully pioneer an existential business model shift that needs heavy investment?
It's the ultimate tightrope walk. You have a tension between today's profitability and tomorrow's survival.
Something to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll see you next time.